So I'm going to talk about the Resource Identification Committee, and I have paraphrased that on the slide cover about opportunities for new program development for peer. I think we can all agree peer has done some great things through the years and wonderful things, and these meetings are fantastic. But imagine if they had a 2x or 3x budget, what could be done? And so really this is focused on trying to help peer find their way towards a larger resource pool. And so the charge from the peer to the peer RIC from peer management is sort of along these lines. Number one, they asked us to identify opportunities. So we're trying to find funding opportunities. And with that, we're just not throwing darts. We're trying to identify things in the judgment of the committee that have high likelihood for success. So peer is not chasing money that doesn't make sense and has low probability of success. So it has to be aligned with peers' core interests in resilient design of extreme events for extreme events. That's one criteria. And the second criteria is there a significant possibility of actually landing this funding? So that's sort of the first thing, is the identification of opportunities. They've also asked us, with the constituency of the committee being quite broad, to identify strategies for going after that funding. We've identified people that have experience in the DOE, in state government, in industry, and those breadth of perspectives are trying to help inform strategies with various agencies and various organizations for going after additional resources. And this is the constituency of the current committee. I won't go through it in detail. I think almost all of you know these folks. You see 2 blank boxes. 2 of our members have termed out after 2 years. We're looking for additional people. So if you know somebody that is good in program development and has special relationships and knows how to do program development and doesn't mind working a little bit, we'd love to have recommendations for new membership and new blood and bring it to that. If you look at this, you see we've got people from PG&E, we've got people from academia, we've got people from the state, we've got people from Bechtel and BART. And so we've tried to cover the domain, and every single one of these people, it's interesting in our discussion, in terms of program development, brings a little different perspective, right? They think about that differently. Academics think about writing a proposal. People in industry and in the state government think of influencing people and trying to influence folks to think about funding a particular activity. So it's really a nice mixture in my mind. So moving forward, we have decided to bin our notions into 2 areas, and I'm going to call one strategic opportunities. And those are opportunities that are bigger and longer term and may take more of an investment for peer, but they're things that peer could really hitch their wagon to for multiple years going forward. So we'll call those strategic opportunities. Then we've identified tactical opportunities. And these probably a little bit smaller things, but things, an organization that has a particular problem they need to solve near term, and their struggle with that, and that may create an opportunity for peer to make a pitch. I'll give you an example. And I work a lot in the DOE enterprise. DOE has been wrestling with excessive vertical ground motions and seismic hazard characterization for a decade. It has literally killed DOE facilities, like at Los Alamos, big box facility, because the vertical accelerations are so darn large that they would have to requalify every piece of equipment on a shake table on that nuclear facility, which is prohibited. It literally killed a big box structure at Los Alamos. So that's a problem that DOE could use some help with, and we're beginning to engage that discussion. So we've made a list, and you can see the color parsing. This is what I characterize as our hot list, and this is, we've gone through and scrubbed these with the committee. We haven't developed a strategy yet, but we've scrubbed these. So the red are the strategic opportunities, and the blue are the tactical opportunities. And if you look at the red, you see that those tend to be aligned with 2 things: energy and climate change. And there's a reason for that, because we all know that that's where the money's going these days in a major way at the federal level. And so there's a significant alignment with those natural gas hazards, next generation electric grid, hydrogen economy. People think that they're going to stand up a hydrogen economy in California and not worry about earthquake issues with respect to transport and storage. Not going to happen. But if you look through some of the documents, there's nothing there about earthquake hazard and risk right now. So this is a call to action for the community to try to begin in a coordinated way to influence some of these policymakers and stakeholders. And I'll show you an example. Biden administration in May approved $2.5 billion in funding for modernization and expanded capacity of America's power grid and getting that power grid ready for renewables, major change. And so if you look at the narrative in these documents, and I've been through them, they talk about the grid, but oh, by the way, it needs to be made more resilient than it has been historically. So there's an opportunity for us and for the community. Hydrogen shot, this is brand new. And I've underlined, they're putting $400 million into a hydrogen shot to look at trying to develop the hydrogen economy. So that's a tremendous investment. An RFP just came out for $40.5 million for a few tasks. And there is an item there for a $20 million university research consortium that looks at resilience of the grid. If you go through and look at that document, resilience is everywhere in these discussions, and I've circled it. Need for resilience, increased resilience. The only thing that is associated with natural phenomena hazard in there is weather events. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for PEER to have some advocacy to see that seismic becomes embedded. Speaking to our California congressional delegation, go to them and say, look at these things. Doesn't say a word about earthquakes in there. We're not going to stand up a hydrogen economy in California without due consideration to seismic safety and natural hazards. So there's a great opportunity for advocacy in some of these things. So I know it's late, so I'll just end with a couple of thoughts. We are going to increase the frequency of meetings of the committee. I've told Amarnath we need to meet not every 3 or 4 months, but every other month for a while. We need to have some action items and tasking. A lot of these things are emerging now. And I'll be honest with you, the DOE doesn't know how they're going to spend a lot of these funds. These have been appropriated and they don't have detailed funding plans for these. What a great opportunity for us in this community to try to influence that and policyholders right now. And so I think natural hazard advocacy as a key element of resiliency with policymakers is really, really important. And I think PEER can help work that with the University of California and other universities to try to bring that to the forefront. So this is what we've done, and this is where we're going. And I'll take any questions you might have. You have brief questions. Okay, let's get to those winners. Thank you.